Did I tell you my house got broken into? Well, it did, and it's a crazy story, and the reason I'm smiling about it is because it's almost too hard to believe what happened. So let's get stuck into that. While I'm down here at a place called Green Bowl, down on the Bukit, we'll explore that, and I'll tell you about how my house was broken into. Look at that, beautiful, isn't it? It's almost sunrise at the moment. What time is it? 6:21 down here on the Bukit. I came down, just drove down on the motorbike just now. Funnily enough, it only took me 31 minutes or 32 minutes to get here door to door from, so this is the very southern end of the Bukit, and from Sanur to here, 31 minutes, 32 minutes on the motorbike. Pretty quick, eh? Because the sun hasn't risen, that little area there looks a little bit flat. It doesn't look very colourful, but I can see just with the naked eye there's a bit of aqua there, and I reckon when the sun rises that's going to look really good. But first of all, we've got to tackle these steps, and it looks like it's another one of these 100-metre things down the cliff face, which I'm okay with going down, but coming up I'll be busting a lung. So let me tell you how my house got broken into. Well, I know I wasn't going to talk about this at all because it was a little bit, well, I didn't feel very good about it, to be honest, when it first happened. It happened a few weeks ago now, maybe a month ago probably, when I was in Lombok. And I was always scared moving to Bali about getting broken into because, ooh, that's a beautiful view. Beautiful. Because I've heard so many stories about people having their houses robbed and broken into and all these, you know, social media is pretty sort of, it gets into your head sometimes. So I thought, you know what, when I get there, I'm worried about the motorbike being stolen, the house being broken into, so I set up security cameras. And of course, you set them up and don't really think about them anymore because they're not really, well, not really active. Gotta make sure I don't fall over here coming down the steps. They're not really sort of doing anything because they're sort of like a backup in case you get broken into. Well, we're in Lombok and we're actually in Sekotong that night having some dinner, and my phone dinged and said detected motion inside the house, which is really odd. I don't get notifications there's something in the house when I'm not there. So it went off. I thought that's odd, so I clicked on it, and luckily we had signal and all that sort of stuff. And I saw a figure inside the house. But one of the things about these cameras, it also like keeps a history. So I thought it was probably like me on camera from like weeks ago. And then I realised there's someone moving around inside the house, and I immediately said to Susan, hey, there's someone in the house. And I freaked out, and she freaked out. And the other thing that's got is it's got like a speaker on there. So I actually shouted like through my phone, and it sort of like shouts out into the house, hey, get out of the house, I can see you, you're on film. And there was some grumbling and stuff going on. And Susan's watching this as well. She goes, I think it's a bully. I think it's a bully. And I was like, what? Why is a bully breaking into my house? And he's going through the fridge and all this sort of stuff. I was like, what the? This is so weird. It is a bully. It's a big guy. So I was shouting out, and then the guy's mumbling something back that I couldn't really understand, like there's a few broken words and stuff like that. And we're monitoring him. Anyway, during this process, Susan's calling people. I'm trying to call people as well to try and go over to the house and see what's going on. Like, how did the guy get in their house? We've got a big gate on there that's hard to get through. The front door's quite secure, and like getting through the roof, I mean, that's hard to do in any house, but you can do it, can't you? In any house, you can do it. Come through a ceiling somewhere or a manhole. Oh, here we go. Look at this. I'm still going down, down, down. This is beautiful. This is not really a swimming beach, by the way. This is known as a surf beach, but I will have a look to see, or maybe you can swim here. Maybe you can. Looks like low tide as well. Eventually, Susan got a hold of the next door neighbour, or the neighbour that lives across the road, and she was out, it's a local, but she said she'd come back home and see what's going on. So she drove back home, and then the guy, who is a foreigner, is standing in my front area, trapped. He can't get out because I've got a big steel gate. And I thought, well, if he can't get out of there, he must come through the roof. And that was what the theory was at the time. And then on the camera, we can see her speaking with him. And, you know, because she's Indonesian, her English is not perfect. It was quite funny. What are you doing here? What are you doing here? You know? And, oh, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? That is beautiful. It is just a nice place to swim, actually. It's humid this morning down here on the Bukit. Up in Sanur, not so much, but it is quite cool and there's a nice breeze. And he's saying things, I mean you no harm, I mean you no harm, and all this sort of stuff. Like, we can hear it. What the hell is going on here? Well, this is pretty difficult to get down here. It's only me and one other lady down here, and it's a woman, like in the skimpiest G-string that you've ever seen. Well, this is actually quite stunning, and there's quite a strong breeze blowing at the moment. It just feels so beautiful. You can see there's currents coming through this this reef area here. But I reckon that'd be a nice place for a little dip as well. Really nice place. Yeah, that looks beautiful. Oh, that's stunning. I can see some sort of seabirds out there on those rocks out there, and then really far in the distance, I don't know if that's a surfer or a fisherman really far out there. And there don't seem to be any surfers on the waves at the moment. Let's go for a walk up this way. There's a little cave up the back there as well. Beautiful. So as that's going on, we've actually got someone else go to the house as well. A worker of one of our friends went to the house. He'd already been there maybe a year before to help out with the pool at one stage. Isn't that nice over there? So he had sort of an idea about the house and what the layout was. In the end, because he had a spare key, because our friend had a spare key, he was able to get the spare key, unlock the front gate and let the guy out. And turns out he comes out of the gate, takes a left, and then goes next door. It's like, hey, what are you doing? And then he says, no, I live here. It's like, hang on a sec. And in my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, there was some guy that moved in next door like a couple of weeks ago. Nice temple up there in that cave over there. Heaps of bats and things in there. I might just walk up here a little bit before this tide shifts. I'm not sure if we've got the tide coming in or going out, so I'm not going to risk going too far along these rocks. This is definitely one of those places where you can get trapped, I reckon, around some of these little bays. So I just will be careful here. So the guy appears to be the guy that had moved in next door. Ah, yeah, it seems you can walk along the rocks until that little beach area over there seems to have been built out. Not sure what the name of that beach is. But even just in here, that water is crystal clear. Beautiful. Beautiful. Have a look at that surf for all the mad surfers out there. I don't know if that's a good scene or not, but it looks pretty decent to me. The waves are fairly high. The wind's sort of going 90 degrees that way across the waves. Beautiful. Well, so once the friend of the worker of our friend had gotten in and let the guy out, we found out that the way he'd gotten in was he'd busted the door down, and that door is a solid door. We've got these really solid wood doors, and they're pretty. I think there's with a lot of doors you've got one point of failure somewhere, whether it might be the hinge or the lock or whatever. And that's what I had always thought would be the case with our doors. Maybe the lock will go or something like that. But all of that held up, the hinges and the lock. And what actually didn't hold up was he actually shattered or splintered the wood. It somehow just, I don't know how he did it, because I mean you need a lot of strength to do it. He somehow was able to smash in the door so that it splintered the wood on the door, which is a solid wood door. And it was in a section where, because you know on a lot of these doors you have this security feature where you, when you turn the lock, it puts bolts into the ground. That's actually a point of failure where the wood is a little bit thinner in that spot, and that's what actually happened. It was in that little spot that the wood splintered, just enough so he could push, buckled all the steel. Well, it's crazy. Buckled all the steel and then finally got in. And got into where he thought he lived, but it was our house. Like, what? All right, I've seen everything I need to see here, so let's get back up and go and get a coffee and a bite to eat somewhere. Beautiful little spot. Beautiful. Now, getting back to the story. So what happened? Like, you can't just have someone breaking into your house and then everything's okay, can you? Well, you sort of can. You sort of can. Like, you can't just go and call 000 and then a fleet of police cars come in and arrest a guy. That doesn't happen like that in Indonesia. Even when a crime is in progress, it's very hard to get police to come and do something, unless they're around, but generally they won't. And then after the fact, I have to take a slow go up here. After the fact, you can make a police report, and they will take it, but sometimes you will need to pay to lodge the police report. They may not do anything about it. And so what happens in the end is that you just don't do anything. I think in Australia, a lot of people complain that for a lot of crimes, and the same as the UK I've heard as well, a lot of crimes, the police will take a report, like you call up a number, but they won't actually do anything. Like, it's like a statistics gathering process. So what happened next? Well, I haven't seen this guy since, by the way. Like, some fly in, fly out worker. He's an Aussie, and he apparently lives next door. I actually wasn't going to make this video because when I was on the phone to him, he was very, very aggressive. And in time, I've sort of thought, you know what? He's gone about his thing after that incident. And if I put this video out and he sees it, hopefully he's not aggressive. So if you're watching, don't be aggressive. Apparently this guy's blind drunk, right? Got home, went to the wrong house, couldn't get in, so smashed the door in. He'd gotten over the fence by the object driver boosting him over the fence, couldn't get back out. And so he has a local girlfriend. The local girlfriend was getting some treatment in hospital. She had to come out of hospital to try and sort out this situation because my neighbour was saying, you need to control this foreigner here because this is unacceptable. And then we got on the phone to her and spoke to her, and I was speaking to her in English, and she says, look, just speak to me in Indonesian because the guy's overhearing what we're saying and he's getting upset. So I started speaking in Indonesian to her. Then he picked up the phone and he says, oh, you just called me a beep, and then hung up the phone because he was offended that I was talking about him behind his back in a foreign language. And I thought, geez, these are very bad signs. Then she called back again. Pretty crazy story, isn't it? Like, what is going on that you are so drunk that you break into even your own house and smash the door in? Let alone getting that wrong and it ends up being someone else's house and rummaging through their fridge. Like, you must be pretty blind to have done that. Pretty blind. But honestly, the thing that worried me most was the violence and aggression. But that wasn't the only things that were said during that period of time. But yeah, he even threatened me as the victim of the crime. Like, it was weird. So you don't want to mess with that. You don't want your life upset and disturbed, yeah, by people breaking into your house and then being aggressive towards you. I must be near the top. It's not that hard, this one, because the steps are quite nice. Great place for a little swim in the morning. That woman down there had it all sorted out. All sorted out. Had a nice blanket out. She's going for a dip. And it's a perfect time of day to do it because the tide just seems perfect, where you've got maybe knee-deep water in a lot of places, up to your waist in others, a little bit of a current, but it's not going to sweep you out. The waves aren't breaking too close to shore. Oh, there's a little track down there. I'm not going to try and see where it goes. Good. Now, we did negotiate some compensation with the guy And that was transferred immediately to repair the door, which I was grateful for. But, you know, there are lots of things that you have to pay for when these things happen here in Indonesia that are not like repair costs. Like, you've got to actually go and give gifts to people for helping you out in the situation as a thank you for coming when we really needed you. And we did that. And you're not going to ask for compensation for that sort of stuff. But also the mental anguish of having your home broken into, the inconvenience of having a busted up door, someone going through your fridge. Like, I think the guy got away with a price that was quite reasonable. And the other thing was, like, I actually did threaten to report him to the police, which I would have done if I didn't get any compensation. I would have waited until I got back, or Susan would have flown back. I would have reported him to the police, and it would have been the end of the discussion, I think. Because I think I would have probably pursued it to the point where, yeah, some action was taken. Which you can do, but it might cost you to do it as well. So for everyone concerned, we selesaikan damai. Yeah, damai is a good word, peace. But it's not just peace as in peace from a war, it's like peace in the community as well. Kedamaian. Look at monkeys here. I'm gonna go to this warung, see if I can get like maybe a little snack and maybe even like a little coffee, like a local one. Oh, that guy's getting to the bintang. That one's into the Doritos. In all my time in Bandung, West Java, I've never been broken into. First time I got broken into was in Bali, and it was by a foreigner. It's pretty disgraceful, isn't it? Like, I've been here for 15 years and only had one house break-in. I can't even remember anyone tampering with the locks or trying to get in ever before. And it happened with an Aussie. It's shocking, actually. But anyway, at least I know my cameras work, so if I do have a real incident in the future, like, the guy didn't take anything because he wasn't there to rob me. Like, if I have an incident in the future, it's gonna be no problem. There we go. Yeah, makasih. There we go. Yeah, thank you. A little instant coffee down here at Warung Anis. I'm gonna get a pancake as well. How much is a little coffee here? I don't know how much. There's no price on all of that stuff, but it shouldn't be much, to be honest. Shouldn't be much. I've been absolutely slagging off the Bukit Uluwatu area over the past few months. I've been coming down here once a week or once every 2 weeks just to sort of check out all the different areas, because certain areas have been getting very busy, especially around Padang. It is just bedlam now at times, or most of the time. The traffic is unbearable. It can take well over an hour to get off the Bukit, and some areas just really aren't pleasant anymore. They're really built up. This is a different one. I've seen a couple of surfers pull up, having a look at the waves here. The other thing about green bowl is that someone told me in the comments it's actually not supposed to be called green bowl. The original name was green ball, in reference to, you know, those floats, glass floats they used to use 100 years ago. It's in reference to those, and I'm assuming they used to find them on the beaches here. So it used to be called green ball. But then people can't really say ball properly. They say, oh, bowl. And it sounds like bowl. That sounded like the same anyway, didn't it? And it became green bowl. That's what that person said in the comments. I'm sorry, I can't remember your name. So that's a pretty good bit of interesting history. The thing is about this area, it still feels pretty undeveloped. On the road on the way in, like, it went for a good couple of kilometres without any development yet. It looks like there are parts of the forest that have been fenced off, which will be bulldozed, I guess, when the time comes. So it looks like it probably will happen one day, but right now, just a great place to hang out, and it has that old school Bukit vibe. Really good. And these old warungs, I mean, look at that. You know, you can still get your jaffle, you can still get your banana pancake, you know, all that sort of stuff. Old school surfer style. And that's what I like about the Bukit. It was always that place, wasn't it? It was always the surfer thing where, you know, you're not really wanting too much. You just want a bit of a bite to eat, a nasi goreng, and then you're on your way. Really feel sad about some of that destruction that's gone on over the years down here in the Bukit. The character of the place has changed totally. I'm just glad it still exists in some pockets like this. But having said that, I am going to go inland after this and have a look a little bit inland to see if that modernity has gotten inland. I'm not sure it has there either. I'll try and find like a cafe or something in there. That gives you a good idea of how modern it's gotten. But I'm not even sure I'm going to find something up there. Yeah, as I said, when I rode the motorbike here, 30, 32 minutes, something like that, 31 minutes. Because there's no traffic on the road, it's actually pretty quick to get from somewhere like Sanur to here. I didn't even use the toll road. I just went straight past the airport and zipped down there. Got to the airport 15 minutes and then the rest of the time coming through the back roads across the southern area. It's actually quite nice. The roads these days are a lot better than they ever used to be. And if it's still quiet and in the early morning, you can still get around pretty quickly. And it's just when the masses start moving around the place that it really clogs up the roads. The other thing that people have been asking me is about my motorbike. I actually bought my motorbike before I even found a house here in Bali. First thing I did was went and bought a motorbike. It cost me 36 million, I think it did. And it's the one with the ABS on it, because I have crashed before because I didn't have ABS. So having ABS costs you an extra few $100, but it's a good safety feature. And since then, I've ridden it about, I think, 10 or 11,000 kilometres. Oh, hello, what are you doing? 10 or 11,000 kilometres in, well, it's over 2.5 years now. It's getting closer to 3 years, isn't it? That's not a lot of distance, and I've been to Lombok a couple of times on it. I've driven around the island a couple of times. I've been up to Lavina a couple of times. I ride it every day to go exercising. So even with pretty heavy usage, and coming down to the Bukit quite often, the Ks just don't rack up. And petrol's still cheap. The petrol price has just gone up. I put the premium petrol in my bike, which they recommend you do on some of these newer bikes. Premium by Indonesian standards, it's still 92, I think. And that's gone up to 16,000, I believe, up from 12,000. But the subsidised petrol, you can still get that if you've got the right identity and stuff. Basically, that says you're entitled to it, and that's still 10,000. When I first got here, it was 4,000, but you know, those days are gone. But still, 16,000 for a litre of petrol is nothing, and you can go far. The fuel efficiency I get on this bike is a little bit less than I would on a smaller bike, but I still get 40 kilometres per litre. So on a tank, generally, I can do 320 kilometres on that thing. So I rarely fill it up, especially if I'm just in Sanur for the month. I won't do 320 kilometres in a month. You just rarely fill it up. So it costs almost nothing to cruise around on it, really. It's a great way to get around. Look at that, it's been a while since I've had one of those. Just have that, go have that coffee first.
Mantap.
I don't know why I'm saying mantap, because it's just an instant coffee, but you know, it's all about where you're sitting when you have these things as well, isn't it? That sort of, for me, adds to not just flavour, but the experience. All right, let's get stuck into that banana pancake. That's pretty good. Soft bananas and a bit crispy pancake. I love the old, the good old days, the simplicity of it all. A banana pancake and a coffee, 27,000. How cheap's that? I'll just have a look to see what this view looks like now that the sun has finally risen, and then I'll nick up the road and see what I can get up there, see what the middle of town looks like, or if there is a town, because like coming on the bike on the way in, I really didn't see much of a town. Okay, well, the sun's actually not hitting that section down there, which has got a bit of a turquoise to it, but you can see it over there. It is beautiful. There aren't any surfers out there at all. There are none, so maybe the waves are no good. There has been a few coming down to have a look, and they're just obviously going to all the different spots and having a look over the edge to see if there's anything worth surfing. This one's interesting because to get down there, you have to use the stairs. You can't go down there in a vehicle. So you want to make sure that you've got good waves before you actually head down. So I've come up the road about 2 k's to the traditional village of Ungasan. Now, I actually thought Ungasan was more focused on the main road through the Bukit. That's historically what I always thought Ungasan was, and even back in sort of 2010 when I went down there, I remember Ungasan was always talked about as being on that main road that goes to Uluwatu. But apparently, this is the centre, and this is nowhere near where I thought it was. So beautiful penjor there, look at that, beautiful fat one. And the reason that this is the centre of town, or the centre of the traditional village, is that's where the village temple is here. It's that one across the road. So this is the dead centre of town. And someone in the comments actually recommended I come down here and have a look around. And it is quite nice. I mean, it's not far from the beaches, but that sort of means that there aren't that many people, well, foreigners here, really, that's basically what it is. It's quite local style and it's pretty good. Actually, we've got to give you some good words related to our topic of discussion today. The first one's dihancurin. Comes from the word hancur, which is the active verb. Dihancurin is the opposite way around. So it's like, it means to be destroyed or crushed. Yeah, dihancurin. My door was dihancurin. And the word for door is pintu. So you could say, pintu saya dihancurin. Yeah. My door was wrecked, destroyed. If you wanted to say it the other way around, like, that guy destroyed my door, you'd have to say something like, orang itu hancurkan pintu saya. Oh yeah, kasih. Oh here's my little coffee. Beautiful, kasih. Let's give it a go.
Mantap.
Good one. Nice coffee. 27,000 for that too. It's funny, I just had a whole meal and a coffee for 27, and then this coffee costs 27, and then later on I'm going to go to Sanur again and have another coffee. That'll cost me like 45. Like, prices in this place are so wildly variable, and that's why some people can afford to live on next to nothing here and have a good life, and other people feel like they're spending like through the roof to have a good life, because prices are so variable and you sort of can choose which sort of price point you want to be at here. A good word for breaking the door open is actually dijabol. Yeah, dijabol. That's to sort of forcefully break it open. That's probably a more accurate sort of word. A couple of other words that you might use in that sort of context as well is rumah, which means house, but also to fix something is to either memperbaiki or benerin, yeah? Make things good again. Memperbaiki, like, comes from the word bake. Yeah, we know about bake saja, it's that sort of word. But then when you say memperbaiki, it's to do the action to make it good again. Fixes, memperbaiki is a very generic word, doesn't mean like repair necessarily in all contexts, but just make good again. Same as benerin as well. Well, that's just about it for today here on the Bukit. Really enjoyed coming down to Green Bowl, finding a side of the Bukit which is not really developed too much yet. Near some really developed areas such as Pantai Melasti, but still has a really nice feel about it at the moment. It's been a good backdrop for talking about how my house got broken into. Thanks for coming along for the ride today, and thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to keep up to date with all things Sanur and the rest of Indonesia. I'll catch you next time, and sampai jumpa.